Hello, welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you're just joining us here for the very first time, welcome. Thank you very much for being here today. If you are returning, I don't even need to say it at this point. You know the drill. Thank you also for being here today, and let's go. All right, so I mentioned it in the last episode, which was episode 1 of season 2 with Mr. Alex Carson. If you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and have a listen because it was a really fucking good episode. We had a great discussion, and honestly, if you follow Alex or if you don't follow Alex and you go and check out his profile, you'll see there's been some more evolutions to his journey already in the last week, which is very exciting for him and very exciting for a lot of other people too. So I'm keen to see what he does on this next aspect of his journey. And if you want to find out what that is, you can go and find out for yourself. However, today's episode is going to be a bit of a catch up, bit of a fucking end of 2025 / start of 2026 little recap on everything that's going on, because at the end of last year, there were so many different things happening and like so much stuff that was in the works that hadn't necessarily come to fruition, or, there was just different aspects of life that hadn't really sort of all fallen into place yet. Now, the back end of the year, I believe the last podcast I did was more or less just, helping people plan for 2026 and how they could structure their goals and intents and how to set all of that up. And I mentioned that I was going to Townsville for Christmas, which I did. Went to Townsville for Christmas. It was hot. It was muggy. It was wet. It was a lot of things. It was very nice. It was a really nice time. I kind of got to just switch off. My routine was thrown out quite a lot whilst up there, which, I don't know, I'm a pretty routine-based person. So when I was waking up and I wasn't able to go for walks with Samuel, it made it a little bit more difficult. And then kind of just starting my day, getting through as much of the work as I could get done, or, running a bit of a skeleton schedule in terms of the overall work that I did have to do. It was really nice to just take some time to just switch off a little bit and really reflect on like what the year had brought, and then look towards like what 2026 was going to be bringing. Now, with that, anybody who's listened to this podcast for a very, very long time will know I'm pretty fucking open, I'm pretty honest, and I don't tend to shy away from the things that are happening in my life or the things that have happened. And if anyone remembers the back end of last year, the reflections episode, talking about all the good things that had happened over the course of the year, through that podcast episode, I made mention probably quite a few times about my relationship. Now, at that point in time, everything that was said, everything, etc., was exactly how I felt. Everything was exactly how it was. And unfortunately, over the Christmas break, that relationship has now ended. It was tough, obviously. It's still something processing, working through, etc. There was obviously a lot of moving parts that were happening around it externally. And yes, unfortunately, we made the decision to go our separate ways. Obviously, I wish Jess nothing but the fucking best. And yeah, it was an odd end to the year. Wasn't necessarily how I thought I would end the year, and it definitely wasn't how I thought I would start the year. But if there's one really positive thing that has come out of it, it's being able to actually sit down and fully understand how much growth I've made emotionally, mentally, etc., and seeing the way in which I've dealt with this process in comparison to previous relationship breakdowns. Or even if you were listening to that episode, you'll remember that I mentioned Jess and myself parted ways back in July of last year. And even the way in which I handled that versus this was almost as if it was two separate people. And breakups are never easy. Relationship breakdowns are never easy. Nobody wants to go through them. But if there's anything I can take from it, it's that I'm really proud of the way in which I've processed so far, and nothing has changed in terms of the other aspects of my life. So the plan was always to come back from Townsville and start applying for houses. This was a decision I'd made when I wasn't actually even with Jess, that I was going to be moving to Melbourne. It's a decision that's been pending up and down in my mind for the better part of about 2 or 3 years. And that was a decision that was still been made. Everything had been put in motion to continue on the path towards moving to Melbourne. And that to me has felt like the next step for a very long time. So with that, I got back from Townsville and fucking took a few days just to relax, recenter, do all the rest of it. And I was like, all right, cool. We're going to start applying for houses. We did. And I remember I've got a text message of me to Kiva saying, we started applying for houses. We started looking around the area. We started doing all of these things. And I had a text message to Kiva saying, we will have a house by the end of the week and we will be moved down to Melbourne by the 26th of January. We got a house in a little over a week. So I was slightly off on the timeline. I think it was 10 days from when we first applied. No, that's a lie. We first started applying for houses on the Monday, which, if I bring up my calendar, was Monday the 5th of January. We started applying for houses Monday the 5th of January. Over the course of that week, I was either attending FaceTime inspections or applying for houses sight unseen, or we were very fortunate enough to have Kiva's partner Mads down there, who went and attended a couple of inspections for us. And she went and attended an inspection for us on the 10th. So we first started applying for houses on the 5th. She inspected a property on the 10th. We got a call on Tuesday the 13th to say, you guys got the house, you're being successful. Do you want to be down here by this week? And I was like, no, because we're moving from fucking Queensland. I was like, what's the latest we can start this? She's like, well, you guys have put down the 26th, but unfortunately that's a public holiday. So like, it won't work. And then if you do want to move into the property on like the 27th, you're not going to be able to pick up the keys until the 27th, which like would be really hard for us to come from Queensland, wait around and then get the keys to then go to the property. Like it's just a lot of fucking around. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's go the 23rd. 10 days to get an entire move organized, because although we knew, or although I knew the steps that needed to be taken to actually organize a move, you can't actually put any of it into place until that's locked in, right? So we were waiting on, okay, first we needed a house. Perfect. Then we needed a date. Then I needed to confirm and lock in the truck. I'm very, very fortunate that through my father's connections with his business, we've been able to utilize a truck from a company in Brisbane, which is saving us a fucking fortune. And we were able to organize that very quickly. So once that was locked in, then I could give our current real estate a date so that they could organize with the new tenants who were going to be moving in, because we'd already provided them a bunch of applications so that we could try and make that process a little bit easier for them, because we weren't necessarily breaking lease. They've known for a while that we were going to be moving, and they've been incredibly flexible. These are genuinely one of the best real estate I've ever dealt with. If you're on the Gold Coast and you can deal and have any dealings or workings, if you have a fucking investment property, if you have anything and you can somehow work with Paradise Realty, do it. They are fucking amazing. Cannot fault them. They have helped us out so much through this process. But it also goes to show, be a good fucking tenant and just be a good fucking person, and people will go out of their way to help you. Should be pretty simple. Some people miss that concept. Anyways, called our landlord and I was like, hey, this is what's happening. She's like, cool, give me the dates. We'll sort it all out, everything. And much like everything else within the process of us actually moving to Melbourne, I say us because Kiva and myself, much like everything else, everything just kind of fell into place. Like it was as if it was just perfectly aligning for us to be just like bang, 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 everything sorted. Bond cleaners, carpets, pest, had to get one of the boys come around to fucking fix up some walls that Samuel had decided needed a little bit of a fixing. And just all these different things that just all sort of fell into place very fucking quickly. And within about 48 hours, we had everything locked in. Truck, bond cleaner, pest, started packing, organized vacate of our lease, organized start of the new lease, paid rent, paid everything. So our new lease starts on the 23rd. We're not going to be leaving the Gold Coast until the 24th at this stage. So the 24th of Jan, which is next Saturday from this recording. It's currently Sunday the 18th. And it all just fell into place. So our new property is in Patterson Lakes. And I will be 100% completely honest, it was not my first choice. It was not the one that I fell in love with the most. It wasn't the nicest, the newest, the cheapest, the closest to the beach. It wasn't any of the perfect things that, if you in a perfect world, we would have had. But for some reason, 2 nights prior, I'd had a fucking weird ass dream that was us moving in to the Patterson Lakes house. And when I got the call on the Monday morning, everyone knows I'm a little bit, spiritual, bit of woo-woo going on. The final 4 digits of their number that they called off were 7222. Now, anybody who doesn't really know much about angel numbers, spirituality side of things, 222 is essentially like you are on track. Like you are exactly where you're meant to be. At this point in time, you were on track. Everything is aligning perfectly for you. So as soon as I saw the phone ringing and my eyes darted straight to that last 4 numbers, 7 is generally representative of manifestations are coming in. 777 is confirmation about manifestations are arriving, you're protected, etc., etc. So the 7, 222, I was like, oh fuck, okay, whoever this is, this is the house we're meant to take. And as soon as she said it and everything sort of just worked, I was like, done, we're sorted, we're on. So yeah, it was pretty fucking stressful for about 48 hours while I just locked in and confirmed everything, organized everything. Kiva was able to organize job, the transition with who's taking over from him. Surprise, it's Alex. I mentioned at the start, he got a new role. Alex is taking over the gym manager role at Nexus and strength coach. But yeah, so it was fucking pretty happening all at once. And throughout this period of time as well, starting off the year from a business perspective, I'd had a fucking huge amount of growth. I don't know where it happened or how it happened, to be completely honest, but within the space of about 10 days, I had 9 new people sign on, and it was just leads were coming from everywhere. People were reaching out, signing up, everything. And I was just like, holy fuck. If this is not the universe screaming at me, being like, brother, you are on track. We are fucking here. I don't know what is. I've still had to be the one to put in the work. I've still been the one who's had to show up online and do the work and, put in the hours and all the rest of it. That's, from my aspect of things, that's action in action. That's intention being put to work. But at the same time, again, we all know I'm a bit of a spiritual guy. I believe that everything's happening exactly as it's meant to. And business picking up, straight into us getting a house, straight into the moves happening next week. I've been trying to catch up with people as much as I can over the course of this week. It's been a very bittersweet week, to be honest, because I've been reflecting on a lot of stuff. Now, I've been on the Gold Coast for 12 years. That's 12 years of my life. And I would have to say that they've been the most formative years of my life so far. So much has happened in the last 12 years of living here that it's going to be a really weird feeling to say goodbye. And it's not necessarily goodbye. It's just to see you later, because I'll definitely come back to the Gold Coast. I'll come back up here for comps, and I'll have friends up here and friends who will become family, and I'll still come up for holidays and all the rest of it. And who knows, I might even retire here one day or win the lottery tomorrow and just buy a fucking penthouse at Kira and live on the beach for the rest of my life. Who fucking knows? Really? Honestly, I don't. But stranger things have happened. So it's been really bittersweet. And it's almost as if as I'm doing just my general day-to-day stuff, so my normal walks at Miami or my runs or my training or just catching up with mates, it's taking a little bit more of a step back and trying to remain a little bit more present in the presence of friends, trying to stay off my phone as much as I can to be with them wholeheartedly. When I'm walking along at the beach, it's just taking it all in. And I cannot lie, there's been a few times I've been walking at the moment, I've just fucking started crying, not because I'm sad to be leaving, but because this place has represented so much to me as a person, and it's brought with it so many different lessons and people. And I know that whatever happens next is exactly how it's meant to happen. Everything is going to work out no matter where we go. People have been saying, they're like, I hope it works out for you. And I'm like, no matter where I go, everything will always work out for me. No matter what happens, everything will always work out exactly as it's meant to. And this next stage is like, it's not easy. It's not easy to say goodbye to people that you've fucking, you've seen going to a new city. There's still people I know in Melbourne, which is great. There's still, like, I've got family down there. I still have Kiva, like, I'm still going to have Sammy, which is fantastic. I'm going to be living closer to the beach and in a really nice location and all of it. Like, there's so many positive things, but it's still one of those things that, like, at the end of the day, I'm saying goodbye to a fairly large chapter. And that's tough. I had dinner last night with my best mate and his wife, Daz, and basically my niece and nephew. And it was nice. Like, it was the same as it always was, but it was just a little bit harder to say goodbye. But I think it's at the same time too, I wrote this morning when I was doing some journaling, how grateful am I to have such amazing people around me that it does make saying goodbye so hard. I'm not going to sit here and fucking cry on camera, but it's one of those things. It's a big move. I'm so fucking excited and I'm incredibly, incredibly keen. Like, I cannot state that enough, that I know whatever happens in this next phase of my life is going to be absolutely amazing. But it's just one of those things. So it has had me reminiscing almost, like, just really sitting with, like, a lot of the changes I've gone through and the different phases of life that I've lived and the memories and, like, fucking all of it. And funnily enough, this week, like, there's been that trend that's popping up of, like, 2016 to 2026, like 10 years and blah, blah, blah. And I was going back through because I was looking at photos and stuff and I was just like, holy fuck, like, dude, 2016 seems like a lifetime ago, but it wasn't really that far. But so I am very, very excited. And I know that it's going to be a massive chapter and a massive transition and all the rest of it. And I know I've kind of been running on fucking fumes at the moment, just trying to get everything organized, ensuring that we're across everything, ensuring that I'm still showing up in my business the way I need to, ensuring my clients are still getting the level of care that they're used to. I'm ensuring that I'm showing up and still sticking to my routine every day. So, Sammy's getting looked after and the house is looked after, and I haven't been eating as much because I'm just fucking not hungry, but just trying to train, which was great. I ran a deload this week, which worked out really perfectly because my body just needed a break as I finished the cut. That's another really cool thing, I guess. I finished my cut. I cut about 6 kilos. I started at 95. I finished at 89. Leanest I've ever been. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm the fittest I've ever been. My running is the best it's ever been. My movement as a whole is fucking amazing. My strength is still up quite high, even given the fact of being on a back end of a cut and all the other variables at play, which I'm really fucking stoked on. And I've already got my goals set in, like, not stone, but they're set in place for this year ahead. So my 3 main goals at this particular point in time when it comes to, like, fitness or training is I want to run a sub 25K, I want to run a sub 50 10K, and then I want to do Hyrox Pro at the end of the year. Now, I've never done a Hyrox. I don't really know I know what it entails. It's pretty easy. It's 8 stations and fucking 8Ks of running. But, like, I'm just going to go straight into the pro category because I'm like, fuck it. I just want to try. I just want to push myself as much as I can. If I'm going to do it, I might only ever do it once. So if I'm going to do it, I want to try and do it properly. And I know that given the fact that it's the back end of the year, I'll have a lot of time to prep for it and all the rest of it. And as I'm subsequently moving through my different phases of training throughout the year, it's kind of going to align itself up really, really well. So if I can keep a really solid base of strength that I have now and even potentially improve it, again, I'm going to be increasing my calories and things like that. So there's only going to be extra energy availability. And then I'll run kind of preemptively. I've got it mapped that I'll run the sub 25K first, and then I'll run the sub 50 10K, like, a little bit later, kind of as a peaking process. And then that will lead into about a 12 to 16 week block of preparation for Hyrox. And then, I'll kind of just see whatever the fuck happens, right? When I get down to Melbourne, as a means of, like, I'm going to need to make new friends. I'm going to need to make a new social circle and get out and about and meet people. So I'm kind of already putting plans in place to be able to do that so that I'm not, a recluse sitting at home fucking hating life. trying to get myself out and about to meet people and interact and fucking see what the world has to offer in a different city, in a different area. So that'd be really cool. I'm excited by that prospect, which is really funny because if you'd asked Josh a few years ago, like, I wouldn't have wanted to move maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I definitely didn't want to move 4 or 5 years ago. And the thought of like going out and meeting a bunch of new people and all the rest of it would have scared the fuck out of me. I didn't love it. I hated social interactions and all the rest of it. I was a bit of a recluse. Whereas now I actually love the prospect of it and I love the idea and I'm really excited to see what that chapter has to offer. So yeah, it's from a training lens. There's a lot of really fucking positive things happening. From a life lens, there's so many positive things happening, even through some of the, we'll say through some of the, without darkness, there can't be light. Without bad, there can't be good. Everything in life is a polarity. So no matter what has happened, regardless of whether I expect things to happen the way they did or not, all I can say and stay rest assured is that everything has happened exactly as it's meant to. I may not know the exact meaning for it right now, but evidently one day I'll look back upon reflection and be like, this is why things transpired the way they did. This is exactly what this was all leading you to. And I think the thought of that and the understanding that if I look back, anything that has ever gone wrong in my life in any capacity has always led to something really fucking good happening. I just need to stay rest assured. I need to keep my belief high and I need to ensure that I just keep on track doing the things that I can do. My biggest theme over the last like 4-ish weeks has just been control what you can control. I can't control what other people do. I can't control what happens in a lot of aspects of life, but I can control how I react to it. I can control the way in which I respond, whether that by talking or physically or like what I do as a byproduct of that. Now I can either choose to fucking lay down and let it consume me, or I can choose to continue to move forward and push on and trust and have belief that whatever is happening now is happening for a reason and something fucking amazing is going to come as a result of it. And as long as I can continue to maintain that belief, allow myself to feel the emotions as I need to, allow myself to sit with things if I find a little bit of resistance and all the rest of it, then that is all I can do. A big thing that I've been doing a lot more of at the moment, especially with just trying to work through everything, is getting back into a lot more breath work stuff. So previously I've been doing, meditating every day and whatnot, and meditate, journal kind of thing. But like I've kind of been getting into a little bit of a new routine where I start my day with breath work and then I just kind of allow the day to go with my still same structure and all the rest of it. And I found that I'm able to keep a little bit more of an even keel. I've found a huge positive benefit when I've been getting a little bit overwhelmed or stressed, or my brain has just been a little bit fuzzy from all of the moving parts. That just taking an extra, 5, 10, 15 minutes to relax, really focus on breathing and all the rest of it, it has allowed me to then continue to show up as my best possible self across the board in other areas. So if anybody at the moment is going through anything that's a little bit tough or a little bit harder to manage and they don't really know where to start or what to do, breathwork is a great tool. You can just use a YouTube video. Learning to control your breath, learning to emotionally regulate, learning to calm your nervous system and regulate your nervous system will then allow you to tackle problems easier. When you can come at a problem calmer, when you can have a little bit more of a parasympathetic tone to it, or rest and digest, I can promise you that your thoughts are going to be a little bit more coherent. Your ability to process is going to be better, and you are going to feel like the decisions you are making are better for you long term, rather than feeling flustered, rushed, second guessing, and all the rest of it. And that's it. That's pretty much the catch up for the start of this year. Now, I had some really cool plans in place for some guests to come onto the podcast. Now, trying to line those guests up and organize them was proving to be a little bit more of a difficult process because they were quite busy people. And I was also trying to plan and organize it with a studio that I'd won some time in up in Brisbane. But given the fact that I'm actually moving in a week, it doesn't seem like that particular avenue is going to come to fruition. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to try and line those same guests up in some way, shape, or form, or fucking whatever the case might be, and still bring some more guests on this year, people that I believe are going to offer a great deal of value to you as the audience, people that are going to bring a really good conversation to the table. Hopefully I can organize one ASAP and we can get a little guest episode running. I will fucking figure that out. My biggest thing for this next week is ensuring that everything is organized, sorted, moved, packed, fucking gone. The next time I record a podcast, I will very likely, I will not be. I will record a podcast this week. And then the next time after that, I will be in Melbourne. That will be the new place to record the podcast. So if you have listened to all of this, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you fucking a lot. Everybody who has tuned in over the last 12 months, you are amazing. If you have any questions, queries, comments, if you have any fucking recommendations, if you've got any guest ideas that you want to put forward or anything like that, please feel free. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have a fantastic day whenever you're listening to this, and I'll speak to you on the next one.